Picked the wrong week to quit sniffing glue.
Morning, everybody. It is week 7 on the Enterprise D build, and it's Saturday. This is the day after I just put up last night's video, and I'm getting an early start because I am going to be working on a weird schedule this week. So this is, I'm going to start off by repairing, or not repairing, but redoing some of yesterday's or last week's work. You know the old saying, there's never time to do it right, but there's always time to do it over. That's what we're doing here. Now, I needed to, I got impatient yesterday. I got impatient yesterday when I wanted to see the lighting working in the windows here, so I stripped all these masks off so that I could put the lighting underneath, and I hadn't yet put the blending coat on here. And that was pointed out to me, and I knew that was happening. But what I needed to do now, so that I can go back and do this blending coat, is I need to re-window the belly here. Now, you would think that that's an awful lot of unnecessary work, and you know that depends how you look at it. This goes amazingly quickly because I'm not thinking about where the windows need to go. I've already done that the first time. I'm not wondering about making sure that everything is straight because I've already done that the last time. I am simply replacing windows in the holes in the paint where they already are. I've cut the new windows exactly the same size. All I'm doing, and you can see how quickly this is going, is I'm just replacing them in this. That one went crooked. I'm replacing them in the spots where I took the old ones out. It's like a 5-minute fix. It doesn't take forever. And it allows me, to have a fresh set of windows on here because if you end up burying these masks under too many layers of paint, they can be difficult to remove. So right now, these new fresh windows don't have anything on them. And as a result of that, they'll be easier to remove. It's just a little bit of extra time. But it also gives me a chance, if any of them had screwed up the first time, to repair them. But luckily they hadn't. So what I need to do is still need to commit myself to whether or not there's going to be a fourth color on here. I still want to do something that breaks up this French blue, and if I'm going to do that, then these windows need to be in place. And also, it allows me to do the underside painting here as well, and then put the blending coat all on at one time. The other thing I need to do, which I've already done, is the stand. I need to put some paint on the bottom of the stand. That again was something I was rushing through because that enamel paint takes a good day for it to really dry. The spray paint, it dries in a couple of hours to where you can handle it. But I really wanted it to give it a couple of days of good coating. And now I could tip the thing up on the end. I took those felt feet off that I put on, and I tipped it up and sprayed black on the bottom of it as well. And I'll let that, because the black paint that's going on the bottom of the stand is purely protective. It's not decorative at all. I can put a coat on there and then maybe put the rubber feet or the felt feet back on before it's completely 100% as dry as the top, and then let it go. It'll continue to dry on its own or cure on its own. And that will get us back on schedule here for this week's work. See, that one went in a little crooked, but it's a little late now. Okay, so like I said, these are going down really quickly. So I've also found a better color for the phaser strips. Something that I think will work a lot better than what's on there now. A little bit lighter. It's actually more of a concrete gray color than it is that that's dark iron there, and it's a little too contrasty. See, it's like this is like potato chips. You know, you put one down, once you get into a groove, you just keep on going. Okay, so I've just done the light gray, or the lightest gray accents on the fantail there, and just like I did the first time, I made the shapes, pulled them up, but rather than putting the positive shapes down, I just pulled them up and then laid the whole big piece down in one, or a couple of chunks, I think, not just one. But that allowed me to see, we're putting in the accent color right in here, and that's going to allow me to finish up this belly piece. Look at that. That's a beauty. And now I'll pull off this one. This mask had done its course, so I can pull it off. That one's kind of off center, but that's the only one. I can live with the rest of these. And I can play with this part better later. It's really, this part was what I wanted to get done. I just needed to do both of these at the same time. So let me take the pylons back off of this. Like I said, those are the important bits. I can remove this and continue work on the belly. Okay, you've heard me mention the term blending coat many times, and now it's actually time to apply a blending coat to show you what it's all about. Now, I've got in here some Royal Light Gray, and what I'm going to do with that is lightly mist over this whole part with the Royal Light Gray, and what that's going to do is it's going to knock down some of the contrast between the really checkerboardy bright colors here. So very light pass, not enough to scare anybody, just a ghosting of an idea. My biggest concern is that I don't put so much in the brush that it slops out the top of the cup. That's what you don't want to have happen. But it's just knocking down the highs and bringing up the lows. And then I will be ready to there we go. That is so much better. Then I got to repaint the color of this, and then I'll be ready to take the windows off and put the last gloss coat, well, not the last, but put a satin coat over it, and then I'll be ready for the decals. And the secret is, when you think you've done enough, you've probably done too much. So always leave them wanting more. Well, happy Monday morning to you. It is the official start of, what is this, the 7th week? It's still going on. This weekend was a fit of 2 steps forward, 1 step back, that type of thing. I'm glad I did work on the weekend, because if I didn't, I would automatically be 2 days behind. You'll notice we have a ship on a base. Now, this is the second time I had to attach these 2 pieces together. I will tell you that first time did not go well. As much as I wanted it to, it didn't, because there was not a good flat joining surface between the plate and the belly piece. The plate had a bit of a warp to it. I thought I could work that out with clamps and glue. Clamps and glue are no match for steel. So after I took the clamps off the first time and it popped right back out of place, I broke the two pieces apart. No damage, but I took the two pieces apart and got the grinder out, ground down all the dried epoxy and all of that. Also bent this a little bit. I'd put it in a flat spot, gently heated it up a little bit with the grinding, and then I gently nudged it back into a flatter existence and used a slower glue, and I think that was the secret. I think the glue, I used 1 minute epoxy. That didn't give me enough working time to get everything the way I wanted it. So sometimes slower is better. Redid it with 5 minute epoxy and a lot less of it. A lighter application also helped, and clamped it with better clamps and a more logical clamping arrangement. Same clamps, I'm sorry, not better clamps. Same clamps, but a more logical clamping arrangement. And let it set all last night into this morning. Took the clamps off of it. It did not pop back out of place, so I think we're ahead of the game there. And then I proceeded to mount it to this base. The rubber flangey thing that Taylor provided was a great idea and mostly works, but it didn't completely match the bottom contour. So I took a piece of foam and basically just put a piece of foam under there, and that's what I'll live with to give me a nice good seal. I might clean that up a little bit, but the if I need to, I can repack that with a epoxy sculpt or something. This will not be the last time this sits on this base, so I am just showing things that are mocked up or mostly in place, but you can see that that's sitting on the base. Yes, the base does have a coat of black paint on the bottom. I did take heed of doing that. That was the first thing I did on the weekend. And let's see, well, I've also started painting the second color on the secondary hull this weekend. I got the starboard side done, and also up under the neck. I will do the port side today, but I wanted to see something to show you first how this is all going to go together. And to do that, I'm going to need to put the camera down. Okay, you'll see that I've got the stand here. I can put a level on it. It is straight, there you go. And then this is also makes that level. Now, the secondary hull goes on like this. It goes on and then fits down over top of it, and then all of this wiring that's in here needs to be gathered up. Now, also it helps if all of that wiring is, this is going to sit like this, I think, for a lot of the time. It also helps if this wiring is attached to anything, which it is not right now. But we do this, and then we slide the whole thing back, and that's how it attaches. There is a gap under here that is undeniable, and just something we're going to have to work out. That's why they make putties, but that was baked into the model, so there's nothing we can do about that. Okay, so we've got that sitting on the plate. That's nice and flat, just like that. What I want to do is really clamp this down into place just where it's going to be, because the main job I want to do this week is to get the cross brace epoxied into the saucer. To do that, I mean, this is going to be, it's going to slide back and forth on this post, but I need to put the saucer on and the and brace it from underneath. And I'm probably going to have to do that work out in the living room since there's not enough space to do that here. Alrighty, I'm out here on location in the living room. I've got a table set up in the middle because it takes this much room to do what I have to do. And what I am going to do is I am going to set these 4 posts in the saucer. I'm going to set them, and what that happens is they will get bolted to the cross piece. Cross piece is on a set screw, a grub screw here, that will slide back and forth on this rail. I've got clamps holding the orientation correct on the neck. So what I'm trying to do is I'm going to epoxy these down, the bolts down, and then I am going to tighten up the screws against them. All that will be set to the point where once all this is in and concrete, then all I have to do is remove that grub screw and the whole saucer will slide in and out. Now I'm going to start with epoxy on the base, just on the foot here and on the bolt, and then after that it's good and set, I'm going to wrap it with the steel stick, the 2-part putty epoxy. This is going to be the skeleton of what's going in here, but there's going to be plenty of meat put on the bone between that point and this point. This is the weakest area right here where the washer hits the saucer. A more brave man would make a hole in the whole saucer and just bolt it through from the bottom. I don't think that's going to be necessary. We're going to find out in the long run if it is. But by widening out that area and making it as wide as possible, then what's pulling up is very wide. It's not a pinpoint. Okay, I'm trying to think of something I can work on while the frame is curing. And since that touches nearly every other part of the build, this is what I've got that I can work on completely separate. What I need to do is build up my interface for this control box, and that's going to be several layers of very thin clear styrene. We're going to start with a clear piece. We're going to make a sandwich here. It's going to be a clear piece with some tinting film on it, and then we're going to use the graphic is going to go in next, and that's going to be backed with a white piece. That's all going to fit in like that. And then there's going to be another clear part behind that the buttons are going to be attached to. I think that'll all work. I think that's the way to go, but until I start cutting pieces, I won't be sure. So some good news. I was not crazy after all. You know, I have to have that collaborated every once in a while, sometimes daily. But I thought I had somewhere in the stash a piece of white plexiglass, and I did. So that's going to save me a couple of steps. It's 1/4 of an inch thick, but I've cut it to shape. It will be the backing. I can put my buttons against this from the back. I don't need to put that white piece of styrene in. Plus it's nice and stiff, which means by the time you put the graphic in, this has protective film on it. This is just a piece of PETG. And put all of that in there. Put the lid down on it like that. It's going to be quite nice. Now I've already tested it, and yes, the signal does get through all of those layers. So all I need to do is attach my buttons to the back of this white piece, and we will be set. So I want to put this on and then put it to the side so it doesn't get scratched. Let me go ahead and peel the protective stuff off of here. I'm kind of debating as to whether or not I want to put any sort of glue on this, or whether I should just leave the fact that it is in this frame be everything I need it to be. See, that's nice, and yeah, it's nice and clean now. So what I want to do is, actually, you know, I could leave all of this and then take a real clear I was gonna say, I take a clear layer of styrene and attach the buttons to the clear layer of styrene and sit. Now I'll attach them to the back of this. Alrighty, I'm doing a bit of wire tidy at this point. Once we get this lid on to this control box, the LCAR's box, space is going to be at a premium. It is not, as you might think, finite or infinite. It is finite. So what I'm doing is all of these wire cables or button wiring came with extra long wires. I'm just shortening them down and putting them in place here so that when I go to close this, it will take up a whole lot less space. I've got the board in the box. I've got it hot glued down. I've got it raised up on some stands so that it's not flat against the back of the box. I've got it so some air can get around it. And right now, like I say, I'm just going through and shortening the wires and resoldering the buttons. Good morning, everybody. How you doing? It's Tuesday, and we are still on the buttons for the LCAR's control panel. Had some issues with it yesterday, and I threw up my hands. Said I'm giving up. I've done enough work today. I'll tackle this in the morning. And then I consulted the man who's been there before, and I called up Phil. I said, Phil, help me with these. How did you do your buttons? And he told me that the secret was to isolate them from each other. I have them just taped down, double stack taped down to this. He said you need to isolate them from each other. They don't like seeing each other. They hate each other. They're all insanely jealous. They're touchy. That's why they call them touch buttons. They're touchy. So what I've done this morning is I've started with this piece of clear, or not clear, obviously, white sheet styrene, and I have, if I turn this on, you may be able to tell that it is behind where the buttons are here. And what I'm going to do is put one of these switches into each pocket and then tape over the top of it. Hopefully that will be enough to isolate them from each other, and then we can put the whole faceplate on the panel. What I'd like to do beyond that, let's turn this off so it doesn't distract you, or me. What I'd like to do beyond that is I've got the main, let's see if I can do this and then zoom. Yes, I've got the main cable coming in that's going to feed up to the ship. It's all in this bundle here. I've got runners going to the 6 outputs that go, and it would help if you could see them. There are 6 outputs here that go, 3 to the top phaser strip, 3 to the bottom phaser strip. I've got those attached. I need to write down, obviously, what's going where, what color is going where. I'm taking pictures so that I can consult them. What I'd like to do is take each of these. Again, it would help if I zoomed out, and there you go. Take each of these, attach them to the points that need to be in here to where I can close all of this up, and then mount this to the stand, and then just route my wiring up through the ship and up the top of the armature, so that all of that will be handled and all of my connecting work will be done up in the ship. Hello everybody, it is Tuesday, and look at this little piece of sliced gold. I have put everything that I have in my brain into this base. This is the base as she stands. Now I've got the control board on. I've got the control board wired. I've got the control board lit. I am pondering whether I'm going to keep the control board lit, the LCAR screen lit. I don't like this shadow here. If I'm going to keep it lit, maybe I'll just do the outside edge and block this all so that it is all in shadow. It's much more noticeable here in person than maybe it is on camera. But what happens is you have to mount the switches to the back, and it's a mess. But my friends, the fact that you can hear those means it's working. That's the back torpedo. That's the front torpedo. Phaser top. Phaser bottom. Warp jump, and this will be the elaborate startup sequence, but it has the sound and the theme and the Picardiness of it going on. Now I've got the wires running out to power and out to speakers going under the base. This is the cable that goes up into the ship. And I've got the other ends all attached to the board where they need to go. I have carefully written down on this sheet the color of the cable, the color of the wiring, and where it is on the board, where it's located.
Its continuing mission.
And I will go ahead and shut this down. But the touch buttons are all working on the LCARs. Yay! It's a magnificence. It's a magnificence, and I'm going to celebrate by taking a late lunch. Ready to finish up today's work. I've got the blending coat on now. I have finished the secondary color, the accent color on the port side of the ship. So both sides are done. And then I went over it with a very light misting coat of the royal light gray. And what that does is basically I can tell I'm okay if I've knocked the gloss off of the French blue. What it does is it doesn't hurt the gray that's already there because it's so close in color, but it brings the French blue down a little, brings it just in a little bit closer to the gray, and it knocks down the lightest color, makes it closer to the gray. So we're in great shape now. The next thing to do is the long, tedious work of taking all these windows off and then putting a satin coat on it. And then this piece will be ready to add to the base. Actually, no, that'll be the finish of the painting of it. I still need to do a few of the lights. I got to put these lights in, the shoulders up here on the neck. I got to put the one at the tail, and I've got to hook up the torpedoes. So yeah, but we're almost done with the painting part of this. Happy Wednesday, everybody. It is Wednesday, and we're going to be painting today. I'd like to mix it up a little bit. Yesterday was mostly all electronics. I did do some painting on this top of the secondary hull bit. I did do some painting on that. I need to finish off this and put a clear coat on it so that I can move it off the table. I finished the secondary color, the accent color on this side of the hull. I then did the misting coat, very light misting coat with the gray, which is the royal light gray. And then I painted in the phaser strips, things like that. I need to finish taking off the windows this morning and then hitting it out with a clear coat and then putting it off the side of the table, because the next thing I want to work on are the nacelles and pylons. I want to put the secondary color on them, get that done, maybe even get the flat coat on, or the blending coat on that. There's no windows to deal with in this thing. That's just very nice. We'll just have to tape off some major areas. There's phaser strips to paint. But my goal will be to get this into a position where I can mount it to the belly section piece. Hopefully that will be how we finish up tomorrow. Abbreviated week this week. Tomorrow will be the last work day of the week. Tomorrow is Thursday, and I'm wrapping up because Friday I'm taking off and I am having a long weekend. My friends, was a chore getting rid of all the tiny windows, pulling them all back off, and finding some plating and some bigger windows that I had forgotten to take off, that I skipped over. But they're all gone now. I don't know how well the lighting is going to come up through them, but I'm not going to try to black any of them out. I'm just going to take natural selection to let that happen. Let me see if there's a little bit. Yeah, there's always one more. A little bit there that needs opened up. Now, I've been going through and touching up some of the paint as well, because a lot of people think, masking these windows is the hard part, and getting them, getting the shape of the window is the hard part. And really, and this is the main reason why I don't make masks for the 1400 scale. People say, why don't you do that? And it's like, it's not the window, my friends. No, it is the space between the windows, because the space between the windows is even smaller than the windows. And when you peel one mask off, you're more than likely going to peel the space in between the windows off. And that's what causes the ugliness. So on something this big, if that were to happen, which luckily it didn't a lot, but it did in some places, I could go back with the three main colors that I've got and just draw that back in. Now, it's not going to be light blocked. Really, it's if I'm taking it back down to the plastic, it's not going to be light blocked. But when the lights are on, they're going to glow so much that you're not going to notice the mullion missing. But when the lights are not on, that's when you're going to see the space between the windows is missing. So that's when you draw it back in with paint. But I have taken all of the windows off of the top of the secondary hull, and this is ready. And I even got the impulse engine unmasked. This is now ready for a semi or a satin coat. I was going to say a semi-gloss, a satin coat, same thing, of clear. And that's going to bring out some colors and unify some colors. It's also going to seal up the edges around the windows. That's an undocumented benefit of a clear coat, is it will kind of go in and it'll lock the area. If you put enough on, I'm not saying I'm going to plaster it on, but if you put the right amount on of a clear coat, it will actually go in and kind of fill in those windows a bit and unify them some. So I'm looking forward to doing that, but I want to give the touch-up paint that I put on here a chance to dry. So I'm going to move this off of the table. It is coming up on 11:30 in the a.m., and I am going to maybe take an early lunch while this is happening, and then get the stuff ready to start painting the bottom of the nacelles is next. The bottom of the nacelles and the bottom of the pylon fantail area. Alrighty, I got the underside of the port nacelle masked off, and I started with the underside because it's a lot harder to get to and will make the tops so much easier by comparison. I kind of like doing the difficult stuff first, get that out of the way. Also, because it is the underside, any goofs, any slip-ups, any miscalculations are more easily buried amongst the dead underneath the less visible areas of the ship. So, yeah, it's a twofold reason. It's a twofer. Doing the perennial cleanup because I am generating a lot of scrap tape and scrap vinyl. But you will see their bottom is done, and this is only for the lightest color. Everything else has already been done. I just need to carry this over to this other nacelle, and then I will paint those. I was going to do the bottoms of the pylons at the same time. There's too much stuff that I'm stepping over myself on, so I want to do those separately. I can do the area of the nacelle and kind of tape off the pylon, and then come back and do it as its own beastie later on, and then everything. It's better for both regions. It makes them easier to get to, and it keeps me from worrying about overspray. So we're going to go ahead and just tape off the pylons, and then we'll do this part. Okay, I've got the other bottom of the nacelle masked, and I desperately want to get some paint on here. This is a day-long work job, and I want to see some payoff here. And the payoff I want to see is them putting some blue paint, some light blue paint on these nacelles. Then I can strip all this off and move to the top of the nacelles. And I think, again, that's going to be a walk in the park compared to this. Okay, I am back. I am refreshed. I am renewed. I am reinvigorated. I am ready to take these masks off the bottom of the nacelles. And then we'll flip it over and do the top. So we're just going to very simply just start removing. Oh yeah, that's looking nice. And we're exposing that. Oh, look at that all come off at once. Aren't you the special boy? Okay. I was going to say something pithy there, but it just jumped off, so no sense wasting time gabbing about it. Look at that, my friends. Look at that. Now, we've got a big decal that goes here, so don't worry about that. Yeah, that's doing nice things, particularly back in here with all these stripages. Now, this was the part that I wanted, that I was overlapping. So when I come to do this much, then I'll get this part around here at the same time. So let me do the other side, and then we'll be ready to flip this puppy over. That's pretty as a picture. That's just lovely. That is the whole side minus the outside of the pylons, but that's wonderful. Okay, so now we're going to flip her over, and we're going to do the tops of both of these nacelles. And then we will, I think we'll flip it over again, do the outsides, and then the inboard. So we're giving everything a good chance to dry in between. So let me pull my templates for the tops of the nacelles, and we'll get on with that. Okay, we have the top of the starboard nacelle mask. Yay! It did go easier. It did go easier, and then quicker than the quicker, easier, more seductive. You know the drill. Than the bottom, because everything was easier to get to. Now we got to do the other one, and wash and repeat. While I was waiting for the tops of the nacelles to dry, I went ahead and masked off the top of the pylons and the fantail there, and I just got done painting that. While that is drying, I'm going to remove the masks from the top of the nacelles, and that will be put us in a good position for closing out business today. If I can come back later this evening and put down the outer pylons, then I might do that, but I'm happy with this amount of work if this is all I can get done today. Oh, this is looking nice. Some of the overlapping lines are giving me lots of nice dimension here. Yeah, I'm liking that. Now the fronts of the Bussard collectors I still have not glued down yet, and I will probably resist gluing those down until I absolutely have to. Okay, all the masks are off of the nacelles. I can see some correcting that I need to do where the angles, once I took the paint off, or once I took the masks off, they weren't quite what I would like them to be. But we've got some time tomorrow to do that. I think we are done for today's work. Oh, that's looking much better. I'm very happy with the bottom here. Yeah. That'll do, pig. Yeah, okay. Okay. And then there's these little guys right in here. That came out very nicely on that angle. I was afraid that was going to be off center, but that's nice. Okay, that's all good. I have the outside of the pylons to finish on this, and then I'm going to correct some of these where they are clashing. Morning, everybody. How you doing? Today is Thursday. It's the gateway to the weekend. It's also the last working day of the week. Today is many things. Taking a long weekend this week, so I'm thinking I am going to, I know today will be the last work day on the Enterprise, and I'll put this video together tonight and post it. Well, you'll know one way or another how I decided this by the time you're watching it, but I think what I'm going to do is post it on a time delay so that it still goes up tomorrow night. I'm down to the wire. I regrade this area because I looked at the reference pictures and I had the stripes all wrong. There are no white stripes that I could see there. There's just 3 blue stripes here. So I've got them masked off to redo that. I've done the side of the pylon. Well, you can see it if I had a light on it. I've put the lighter color here and here and here. So that's all done. That's ready to go. And this is the last bit of painting that I need to do on this particular subassembly. That's the last bit of painting I need to do. And then I need to start doing some paint touch-up. And there's quite a bit of that. And some detail painting. Like I need to finish painting this dealie here and one on the other side. I also need to do some light blocking around these fantail lights that I've put in the wrong place. I opted for one set that shines out the back instead of 2 sets that shine top and bottom, simply because there's just not the real estate or my skill level to do it, because I know you probably could do a light piping situation where you would run a single fiber optic top and bottom and then make like a T-joint on that. There's just not a lot of thickness there. There's not a lot of meat on this part for that. So I buried a single I'll show it to you. I buried a single set of red and green lights. See if I can do this with no hands. I buried a single set of lights there. Come on. And they don't want to cooperate. I'll have to hold this down. Okay, I buried a single set of lights there. Okay, we'll try this one last time. He said, rather emphatically, I buried a single set of lights there. And I want to do I want to paint some light blocking around them. So to do that, I'm going to have to get out the old Zenith Black, and then I'll paint gray over top of that again. If we move the light away, you can see that a little bit easier. But that will be taking care of that. If I can get what I hope to get done today, say that 5 times real fast. If I hope to get done today, I will probably mount this whole piece, and there goes the phone. Okay, and there goes the phone. I lost my train of thought. Oh, the goal for today is maybe to get this whole back piece mounted to the belly plate. Get that actually mounted to the stand. That will be some impressive piece of work to let that go. But I'm getting ahead of myself. I may not be able to do that today. Let's get these last blue stripes repainted in, and then we'll see where we go from there. Okay, so I'm out here in the living room on location again, and this is what I've got in mind for the joining of this piece here to the fat belly piece. Now, there is precious little space here, little room in this seam for any sort of adhesive to go. There's a couple of, I won't say dovetails, but teeth that come out on the underside to interlock and give you a little bit more glue surface. So if I ran a bead of epoxy down through there, that's a good start, and I put some glue on the and maybe the slow epoxy or maybe even a CA on those dovetails. That would be a good start. And then I'm thinking of, this is part of the ruler that I use on the sand crawler. I can take another piece of this because this is spring steel. This is very tough stuff, and it's very thin. I'm thinking if I can epoxy this down, that'll give me a bite this way, give me more of a pocket for that to sit in. And then it only needs to function that well until I can get the top part on, because once the top part is on, then I can glue or epoxy all of this, and that will work to further strengthen that joint. But this is just the belt and suspenders of it all, so that I can make that more substantial while I am still working on the top piece, because all of these wires have to be joined with the wire trunk that's coming out of the top of the stand before we go any further with this. But this is all in an effort to keep everything level and square. I've got a piece of steel going underneath it, piece of steel on the top, and if I could clamp those both together so that I'm clamping steel on steel, then I don't have to worry so much about the twists of the 3D printed resin part. Okay, kids, things are going to get monumental here in a second. We are all set to attach this assembly to that assembly. This has not been bolted down to the stand. That'll come later. None of the wiring has been done. That'll come later. What I am interested in at this point is, well, see, here's the thing. I'm going to have to try to explain this with one hand on the camera. I'm going to put, those little pegs that I was telling you about, those little teeth. There's one there and there's one there underneath. I'm going to put just the tiniest bit of CA on those. That's not going to be the main support of the thing. That's going to help hold it in the right orientation. And then I've got two-part super epoxy weld that is made to work on aluminum and iron, steel, brass, bronze, whatever. It'll permanently bond everything. It's two-part epoxy. We've used this before. Sort of like JB Weld. That's what it's reminding me of. Once those two pieces have been joined, I will put the clamps back on them to hold it in the right spot. I'm going to be laying the JB Weld, this epoxy, in this joint right here. I am also going to back butter these pieces, which are the ruler that I cut up, and then we're going to epoxy those down, which is going to give me steel all the way from here to there. And then we're going to put the big clamps on it, and we're going to hold it down that way. We're going to clamp it right on that joint. Hopefully that steel will hold front and back of that. And we're going to do this twice. We're going to do one here and one here. And once I get all the clamps on and everything's set up, I'll bring the camera back out and show it to you. And it'll hopefully make more sense. But right now we're going to be using that clamp. I'm sitting this on a piece of steel right now. That's how it's resting. It's resting on this metal triangle. So let me lift that off and show you. Okay, as you can see, we have got, those are those two teeth I was talking to you about, like the little dovetail joints. Those are where I'm going to put just the tiniest hint of CA just to hold that in position, and then this is going to sit on top of it like this. Once that's in place, I'm going to run that two-part epoxy all the way through here to reinforce that joint. That alone is not a lot of surface, so I'm using pieces of this ruler that I've chopped up. When we're going to do, one is going to go like that, the other one is going to go like that, and then I'm going to back butter those with epoxy, and then I'm going to put these clamps, I've got two of them, One of them's going to hold this down, and the other one is going to hold the other one down. And we're going to put a big old knot of the epoxy on top of it. Let it set up like a rock, hard as a rock. It's going to set all weekend while I'm out of town. We're not going to touch it. It's going to sit that way for the longest time, nice and cured. Once I get all the clamps on and the epoxy down, I will show you how it turned out. But since this is metal here, and we got that triangle that it's sitting on, so that's metal there, I'm not really worried about the clamp messing up the surface of the model. It's going to be clamping metal to metal, and that's going to give us more tooth, more surface area for that to hang to. Once we put the secondary hull on top, that is also going to be reinforced by putting glue all along that joint. So that's going to hold it in place. All that I'm doing here only has to last as long as it takes to get the top of the body down. So, wish me luck. It's time to mix up some epoxy. Hey, welcome to the USS Clamper Prize. We have got the clamps down. We've got the metal plates in. We have got the epoxy that is curing. And when this epoxy cures, I'm going to lump more epoxy on top of it. And then I'm going to put more guards on the guards. A deep cut for you folks out there. Then we're going to let this thing set. But I'm checking it from all angles. Now, it's not maybe square to the ground because this is not bolted. But it is square to the base, and or square to the plate. And that's what I am interested in, that it seems to be dead on there on that plate. So yay. Time to let this heal, and I'll go off and work on something else. Okay, so it's easy to forget that when you're doing something as large and spectacular as that you still have 1,000 other things you got to get done. So now it's time to turn our minds to more mundane matters. And what I need to do now is I need to deal with the lighting that's in this secondary hull part. There's a bit of lighting that happens inside here before we can put it down over the armature and glue it in place. Now the armature itself, I'm going to wrap the lighting around the armature to take care of the window lighting that's in here. Although I probably will find some way to put a strip on the bottom metal plate, just like I did to light the down windows, to also light the up windows, but that piece is occupado right now. So what I can do is go ahead and take these, which I've had for a while. I just need to attach them. These are the photon torpedo LEDs, and of course they just have a bit of fiber optic attached to the end of them, but I made sure that I do have a resistor on there because you need it. All of the stuff on the board needs to have resistors. So that's positive, that's negative. But see, there's your torpedo. It needs to go up in the neck and come out the torpedo hole. No euphemisms there. It's just the torpedo hole, and the armature will come out around that. But what I need to do is maybe whip up a small dab of the. Oh, I bet you I could use some Solares on that. I was gonna say whip up another bit of epoxy, but I'm kind of epoxied out for the day. Let me. And there goes the phone again. I will be so happy when election season is over. I think this is a good spot to end the week's work. We've got the little shoulder lights, what I'm calling them, up on the top of actually they're neck lights going up here and underneath. I don't have them power to them, but there's a green one on this side and a red one on that side. So it's kind of a combination. The thickness, I gotta tell you, the thickness of this resin right in here, I can't get all of the bulbs in here that I would like. It's a minor miracle that I was able to get the 4 in that I did. And there will be other bulbs on the saucer that go on the other side of the joint there. But in the movie, I'm remembering that there were actually 3, there was a color bulb up here as well. So I don't think I'd be able to get another bulb up there. It might be worth trying, but that'll be a luxury. If I can get that, it'll be a bonus bulb. Well, I have to say it's weird. It feels weird doing my wrap-up on a Thursday and not Friday. But like I said, taking a long weekend, so I want to get this up, and I will post it Friday night, normal time. But boy, we got a lot done this week. Got a lot done. Got a lot of painting done. Got the, well, you saw it. I keep forgetting that you're watching the video as it's unspooling, and I'm remembering over the past week. So it's a while ago for me, but it's mere instances for you. So that's where we are on week 7. Come back next week for week 8. Lord knows there's not a lot left. We're going to start concentrating on the saucer lighting, getting that set up. If I can get this down onto the neck and do the secondary hull lighting, get to where the entire star drive is a done thing, ooh boy, would that be something. Done except for decals. I know, manage your expectations, because this kit will not be done until I get back from Telford, because that's where I'm picking up the decals. So we might get a lot of it done, but it ain't going to be completely done, well and truly done, until then. So until next week, I hope y'all can have some fun, be good to each other, be nice, be kind. Be back next time.